So today Jamie is off, so I'm going to be alone here. Deal with me. Let's start with the episode. Teaser today. The token maxing is a new term that you will hear a lot. So we'll talk about that. What is it and why does it matter or actually should not matter? We'll also talk about the GPU scarcity, intensify, and Microsoft has released the efficient version of MAI-Image-2, as well as the Claude Opus 4.7 is here. OpenAI counters with GPT-5.4-Cyber. Anthropic also released the Claude Design. And there is a new movie trailer out there with Val Kilmer's AI avatar in it. Stay tuned for a quick introduction. Greetings. Welcome to the AI Files podcast. If you're looking to stay up to date on the AI, this is the podcast for you. I'm Shadab. I'm the director of AI at Microsoft, and I'm your co-host.
Hello, everybody. Jamie Basilico, as you know already. I'm the other co-host here for the AI Files. My day job is a data and AI technical specialist and architect. And as a reminder, please note this is not an official Microsoft channel. So the views and opinions expressed by myself and Shadab are our own and do not represent the views of Microsoft.
So this week's thought of the week is token maxing. So what is token maxing? Token maxing really means treating high AI token usage as a sign of strong AI adoption or productivity. Well, as you know, tokens are basically the billable units models process and generate, and API usage is priced per token. So by tracking the token usage, you can say that you will know what is the usage of the AI models, or potentially it is an indicator of the productivity or the adoption, right? So and token maxing is like really going all out with it and using as much as possible, which means that it should translate into the high AI adoption. And the way it is measured is usually raw token consumption. So how many tokens an employee, team, or company uses over some period. In practice, that often means leaderboard style ranking, spend tracking, or dashboard showing who used the most model compute. The idea became actually widely discussed after a report that Meta had an internal leaderboard for employee token usage. Actually, we have heard that recently they have gotten rid of it. Now, why some people measure it? Supporters see that as an easy proxy for whether people are actually using AI tools seriously. And the logic is if employees are using lots of tokens, they are probably experimenting, building workflows, running agents, or learning how to get leverage from AI. Now, this is basically in their mind a leading indicator of the adoption. If there is more usage, there will be more productivity and outcome. The critics push back. Critics say that token use is just a vanity metric. More tokens can only mean more activity, but not necessarily more value. So really what you need is outcome maxing or value maxing, basically, rather than the token maxing. And that's what the HubSpot CEO Yamini said that. Now, I'm on the side that token maxing, yeah, to an extent, it may be, but I think there could be a lot of fluff and I would say pseudo, objectives achieved basically. Because people figure out the way you set the metrics, the behaviors are driven that way. It is something like in a sales world, it is basically to drive more sales, you start tracking the activities of the sellers. And I've seen that kind of model as well. And then what happens is that, people are doing actually more of overhead of activities reporting, right? And every activity gets tagged, even if it is of no value, to be honest, right? So people are just trying to focus on the activities. Outcome is taken for granted in the sense that okay, more activity should mean more outcome, but it doesn't really translate that way. So I would say caution that it doesn't really work that way. To an extent, yes, it is an indicator. To the people who are not using at all, it will help, but people who are using it, for them, now they're just going to start doing more vanity rather than actually driving the outcome. Now, Uber is seeing both the upside and downside of this token maxing. According to its CTO, engineers widely adopted tools like Claude Code to speed up the development and code review, which improved the productivity across teams. However, the rapid and often unmonitored usage also drove a sharp rise in compute costs. Uber ended up exhausting its entire annual AI budget within just a few months. So it has to be a cautionary tale. It is something that could be, but again, you have to assess where your teams are, where the individuals are. and then accordingly drive it. Moving on to the next one. Take a look at this trailer from the new movie coming out, As Deep as the Grave.
Don't fear the dead, and don't fear me.
So, what you saw here is Val Kilmer, who actually passed away in 2025 after battling throat cancer. He was cast as Father Fenton, a Catholic priest and Native American spiritualist, but he was too sick to shoot his role. He actually never could do a single scene for the movie, but he was cast. So, with the cooperation of Kilmer's estate and his daughter Mercedes, the movie team used Gen AI to include the actor in the finished film. Seems like there was an emotional attachment by the actor to this movie because of the Native American heritage of his own, as well as the theme of the movie. The director and the producer, the Voorhees brother, they argue that they have found an ethical way to use a controversial technology because they have worked in concert with Kilmer's family. They note that the film, which tells a story of an archaeologist, first female archaeologist actually, and her excavation of the canyon in Arizona, it resonated strongly with Kilmer. There are fears in Hollywood that AI will eliminate acting jobs as studios search for ways to cut costs. But this movie, As Deep as a Grave, filmmakers insist that they only use the technology out of necessity and a deep desire to include Kilmer in their project. They also note that the production relied on SAG guidelines and compensated Kilmer's estate for his appearance. The actor's family provided archival material that the production used to create the performance. I would say it's probably a good case in point that Gen AI can be used responsibly, and I think in this case kind of makes sense. Um, I would say that there's nothing wrong. It seems like because it has been done with the full consent, and there was already commitment by the actor, although he could not deliver it. Moving on, the NVIDIA's the GPU rental price is surging 48%, which means that you can expect, if you have not logged in your infrastructure yet, you may actually expect a lot higher compute costs. As you know, what's happening in the world around, which is also disrupting a lot of supply chains. The memory prices have already surged, things like that. So that is also impacting the chips production costs, and NVIDIA rental prices are actually surging. Um, the compute price index, it's called On Compute Price Index. It shows NVIDIA Blackwell GPU rental hit $4.08 per hour, which is up 48% from $2.75 just 2 months ago. H100, H100 rental also surged 40%. Now, Blackwell, which is the next chip, delivery timeline is now extended into mid 2026. All available power resources for data centers through 2026 are already booked. Top four cloud providers, basically Google, Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon, they have planned $700 billion in AI infrastructure spend during 2026. NVIDIA captures 85 to 90% of that GPU market share. With the price rise, of course, it would become more and more expensive in the future. Now, OpenAI has shut down Sora video generation to reclaim the GPU capacity. Anthropic is actually throttling the cloud subscription. CoreWeave is raising price 20%. So different companies are responding differently. In one of the good news, the Microsoft's own Fairwater data center in Wisconsin is now live. It's ahead of timeline. It connects hundreds of thousands of GB200s into a single seamless cluster. It's part of the Microsoft's broader $7 billion investment in Wisconsin, which includes plans for a second data center of similar scale. Now, that doesn't mean that every state is welcoming data center. In fact, there is a lot of pushback which is happening. Maine actually passed first in-nation data center ban. So Maine legislature has passed LD 307. It's an 18-month moratorium on new data centers using more than 20 megawatts of power. It is the first statewide ban in the U.S. House has voted 79 to 62, and it's just now awaiting Governor Janet Mills' signature. Now she has requested an exemption for a current project, $550 million project in J. It creates a data center coordination council to study impacts on the grid, water, and the community, then issue policy recommendation. There were similar bills introduced in 12 other states as well. And Data centers could consume more than 1/9 of the country's total electricity by 2028. Average new data center use as much as electricity as a city of 500,000. So there is a growing, I would say, pushback against the data center because of the rising utility costs, etc. In many states, many of the companies, including Microsoft, has come out with the pledge that they will not let the utility costs rise. They will take the fair share of that consumption demand. But there is a growing pushback. In fact, as much as that there was actually an attack, an attempted murder attempt with a Molotov cocktail on Sam Altman's San Francisco home. A 20-year-old Texan was charged. His manifesto contained a kill list of other AI executives. This is what he's calling as Luiging, that person who actually murdered the CEO of United Healthcare. So, and this is being investigated by FBI as a domestic terrorism charge. So, the point is that there is a lot of this pushback that is coming. The companies and the corporates and the executives need to be very, very cautious. Sometimes some of the stories that are being pushed around are not really good. We have all seen when society actually pushes back, the corporates are going to lose. That's what happened with Elon Musk as well, right? He had to actually take a retreat from all the political activities because of all the demand impact that he has had on several things, including on the X as well as the Tesla. So, time for the caution there for the corporates. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is actually creating an AI clone of himself to attend employee meetings. The AI avatar is being trained to think and act like him and to interact with the staff without requiring the actual time. The joke is that the AI version might seem more human than the real Zuck. The AI clone is meant to step in for him in the employee meetings, offer feedback, and help the staff feel more directly connected to the founder. But the staff may feel less connected as they know they are talking to a bot. Right? If I know I'm talking to an AI, I'm not going to talk with the same demeanor or behavior or even have as much interest. The company frames it as becoming AI native. This is part of the Meta's plan to spend $35 billion on AI this year. On the other hand, Anthropic draws $800 billion valuation offers. The revenue, they've already hit $30 billion ARR, as reported last week. Although OpenAI in its internal memo has raised question, they're saying that $8 billion of that is probably just a double counting because that cut actually goes out to the hyperscaler, so it should not be as high. But regardless, both companies are doing pretty well on the annual run rate, and the valuations are close to $800 to $900 billion for both the companies. Anthropic has not taken this offer so far, however, although they are planning for an IPO as early as probably October 2026. That could happen. Cybersecurity stock, when Mythos came out actually last week and the project Glasswing has actually taken a hit. A lot of cybersecurity stock had a massive sell-off. It was about late March and early April. And the second sell-off is basically happened just last week when Mythos and Project Glasswing was launched. CrowdStrike is down 8%, Cloudflare 13%, and overall the software and services index was down. Basically, what is happening is that there is a fear that if AI can autonomously find and exploit vulnerabilities that 27 years of human review missed, what are these cybersecurity companies doing anyway? Similarly, the design and software stocks also fell on the news of Anthropic's newly launched design tool as well. So there is a lot of chaos going on in the stock market, the equities, etc. as well, because a lot of that is emotional reaction, to be honest, which generally stock markets are known for. But that's what has been happening. Anyway, moving on to the launches. OpenAI counters with GPT-5.4-Cyber and scaled trusted access program. So if you remember, Anthropic just last week launched Project Glasswing. They say that they have developed a new frontier model called Mythos. It is so powerful that it was able to identify and exploit the vulnerabilities by, in fact, combining or chaining the different vulnerabilities together. It is so dangerous that they're not going to release it in the public. What they've done is rather they have taken only 50 handful companies who control most of the world's operating system and applications that run the world. And they're working with them to help them identify the vulnerabilities and fix them. So that's what the Project Glasswing is. What OpenAI has done is they have announced something called that their model, GPT-5.4-Cyber. They are going to make that available as part of the Trusted Access for Cyber program or tech. And this is a specialized program, and using the specialized model, Cyber 5.4 Cyber, it takes the opposite approach to Anthropic's gated methods. So it basically is aiming for broad scale access to thousands of defenders rather than locking it behind a 50 company firewall. It is designed to assist in identifying vulnerabilities, managing access controls, and building defensive strategies. A tiered and scalable access model for diverse user group, from security startups to Fortune 500 SOC teams, even the individuals can also apply for it. It is a different approach, and I would say it's more of a reaction from OpenAI. They just want to make sure that Anthropic doesn't get all the credit, so they're announcing something. It doesn't seem like as powerful as Mythos, in my view. But lots of companies have already signed up as well to work with them. Some of them are common with Anthropic's Project Glasswing as well. Anthropic, on the other hand, has also launched Claude Opus 4.7. Opus 4.7 is positioned as its most capable, generally available model for complex reasoning, agentic coding, vision, memory, and multi-step professional work. It is a direct upgrade over Opus 4.6 with a step change improvement in agentic coding and stronger performance on long horizon tasks. It supports text and image input, text output, multilingual use, vision, adaptive thinking, and priority tier access. It has a 1 million token context window, up to 128K output tokens on the synchronous messages API, and up to 300K output tokens on the message batches API with the output. It has a reliable knowledge cutoff, which is January 2026, so fairly recently trained. Pricing is same as Opus 4.6, which is $5 per million input tokens and $25 per million output tokens. The way it does the cost planning, it uses a new tokenizer. So it may actually end up consuming more tokens, the way it tokenizes them. So it will identify it as a more or bigger token consumption. So roughly about 1 to 1.35 times as many tokens for the same text as the older model like Opus 4.6 would do. So some workload will get more expensive, even though base pricing did not change. The vision has got actually a meaningful upgrade. It is the first model with high resolution image support, with max image resolution increased to 2,576 pixels on the long edge from 1,568 previously. That vision boost can actually improve the screenshot understanding, the document analysis, and computer use tasks. But full resolution images can use up to about 4,784 image tokens each versus the earlier cap of roughly 1,600 only. The developer should expect more literal instruction following, a more direct tone, stricter effort calibration, fewer tools calls by the default, and fewer subagents unless prompted otherwise. The extended thinking change as well. The old budget token style is removed for 4.7. The adaptive thinking must be enabled explicitly, and summarized thinking is no longer written by default unless requested. So there are some changes in the way it processes and return the results as well. It's available on the Pro, Max, Team, and Enterprise user. Current consumer pricing is for these tiers are separate and depends on who wants to consume it. The biggest benefit Anthropic says is better coding performance or stronger long-running agent behavior, better honesty about missing data or limits, more consistent long context work, and stronger finance knowledge work performance. One of the things about this model is that it has been deliberately, I would say, lower down on the cybersecurity vulnerability reproduction. So let me actually show you here what it looks like. And you will see in my screen here that, let's see this one. You can see the benchmark here, Opus 4.7. It is better than 4.6 in pretty much every regard, right? So, agentic coding, or multidisciplinary reasoning. I think the only places where it doesn't do as well is, if you see here, cybersecurity vulnerability reproduction, which is actually lesser than the Opus 4.6. Okay, so you see here, it is 73.1% on that benchmark, which is a CyberGym benchmark, compared to 73.8% from Opus 4.6. So it has been deliberately watered down for the reason that we already talked about. They are afraid that this can be misused. But otherwise, it's pretty powerful, the model. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about another release that Anthropic also had, which is Claude Design. This is a new product from Anthropic Labs, the labs which basically do research project, experimental work, etc., that lets users create polished visual work such as designs, prototypes, slide decks, one-pagers, and marketing assets. It is built specifically to reduce the friction and time required to explore and iterate on the visual ideas, even for users without formal design backgrounds. It is powered by Claude Opus 4.7, which is the latest model. It's most capable vision model. It follows a conversational, iterative workflow where users describe what they want and refine outputs through natural language. Inline comments, direct edits, or AI generated sliders for layout, spacing, color, and structure. It automatically applies a team's design system when authorized, maintaining consistent colors, typography, and components across projects by reading existing code bases and design files. It supports multiple starting points, including it could be text prompts or uploaded images and documents, like any of the Office documents or the web captures from live sites and direct connections to a code base. It enables creation of an interactive prototype from static designs without requiring code reviews or pull requests. It is useful for product wireframes, feature flows, design explorations, pitch decks, presentation, and marketing collateral with easy handoff to engineering team. One of the thing about this is that there is a streamlined handoff to Claude code. So you can design and then you can actually connect that with the Claude code, which can actually create the app or whatever system that you want to develop based on the design. So it packaged design with the intent and structure so engineers can move from prototype to production more quickly. You can export the design into PDF, PPTX, or Canva, or HTML, or other URLs as well. It enables basically advanced frontier design use cases like code-powered prototypes with voice, video, shaders, 3D elements, and other embedded AI capabilities. It's available in the research preview with a gradual rollout to users across the Claude Pro, Max, Team, and Enterprise subscriptions. There's no separate standalone pricing. Access is included with supported Claude plans with optional extra usage beyond limits. Now, for the enterprise organization, the feature is disabled by default and can be enabled by administrators in organization settings. All right, let's talk about the Claude Code routines and desktop redesign. So Anthropic launched routines, which is basically cloud-based automation that run on Anthropic's infrastructure without requiring a developer's laptop to be on. So there are three trigger types: schedule, which is hourly, daily, weekly, whatever, or the API-based or the GitHub webhooks. Each routine bundles a prompt, repos, and connectors into a reusable configuration. There is some daily run cap, like for Pro subscription, it is 5 per day. For Max, it is 15, and likewise. It's a redesigned Claude Code desktop app. Now add mission control, sidebar for managing multiple parallel agent sessions. So essentially, it shifts the Claude Code from AI pair programmer to AI operations platform. The enterprise can now automate nightly bug triage, PR reviews, deployment verification, alert response, etc. And that basically it reduces the DevOps overhead and enable always-on AI engineering workflows. Microsoft has also introduced a new model last week. It introduced a MAI-Image-2e efficient, short form Image-2e. It's a new image generation model optimized for speed, scale, and compute efficiency. It's designed to deliver high-quality image generation with significantly lower latency and GPU usage. It enables faster iteration and higher throughput. Just a week ago, Microsoft actually launched 3 models, including the Image-2, which is basically LLM-based, and it can generate the images. It was pretty good. And now this efficient version is actually basically faster and cheaper. It's up to 22% faster and up to 4 times more efficient than Image-2 when normalized for latency and GPU consumption. It outperforms several leading text to image models on average throughput. So it is best suited for high volume production workflows such as e-commerce imagery, media generation. It's ideal for real time and conversational experiences, including chatbots, creative copilots. It enables rapid prototyping, etc. The difference between the image 2 and the image 2 efficient is that efficient prioritizes speed, latency, batch size, and cost efficiency for scale out workloads. Image 2 itself is better suited for use cases requiring finer text rendering, smoother gradients, deeper contrast, and higher photorealistic nuance. So of course, the efficient is cheaper and faster. Um, it's available now in public preview through the Microsoft Foundry and the My Playground. Pricing is $5 per million text input token and 19.5 per million image output tokens. It is designed to reduce GPU cost per image, and Microsoft also hinted at additional My announcement that will be made at Microsoft Build 2026, which is coming out soon in summer. All right, let's talk about the insight of the week. This week, a new report actually came out, the Stanford AI Index 2026 report. It's a ninth annual Stanford report, the most comprehensive independent assessment of AI's trajectory. So what it suggested and identified is basically the AI adoption has reached 88% of surveyed organizations. Gen AI hit 53% population adoption within 3 years. It is faster than PC or internet. Private companies now produce 90% of notable frontier models. The most capable system now come with the least transparency about training, data, and design. US China AI model performance gap has also effectively closed. Anthropic leads by just 2.7% as of March 2026. So that gap that has been often talked about between US and China is bridging very, very rapidly and almost right behind. AI data centers draw around 29.6 gigawatt globally. It is enough to power New York State, entire New York State at peak. Annual GPT-4.0, an older model in French water use may exceed drinking water needs of 12 million people. Very water thirsty, I would say, these models. The employment for software developers aged between 22 and 25-year-old actually fell nearly 20% from 2024. One third of organizations expect AI to reduce workforce in the coming year. The productivity gains documented at about 14 to 26% in customer support and software development, up to 72% in marketing teams. That's huge. Only 10% of Americans, however, say they are more excited than concerned about AI, versus 56% of AI experts. A massive public trust gap. The documented AI incidents has risen from 233 to 362 year over year. So, of course, the abuse and misuse are also actually increasing. Um, it basically validates the urgency of AI adoption while highlighting the regulatory talent and public trust risks that come with it. Okay. And with that, it's a wrap. Talk to you all next week. Keep listening.